All right, so welcome everybody. Thank you for joining this webinar. Today we're going to talk about IoT and logistics and asset management with Lansitec. I have here with me Lei Liu, who is a marketing director in Lansitec and a great partner of TagoIO. The agenda today is to focus on logistics for outdoor and indoor tracking, also asset management. We're going to feel a little bit how the market is, what is the projection, and where do we have room to grow. Also, we're going to share some of the device options and hardware technologies that we have on the market, as well as use cases and the application of actionable data. And some of the benefits, some of the challenges that will help us to get there. So on the TagoIO side, we pair very well with the logistics sector. That is because we can implement robust, bespoke solutions for our IoT, logistics, and many needs. So when we look at indoor warehouse management, facilities, storage, freight tracking, supply chain, those are all very feasible with Tago because you can either create a solution from scratch or use our RTLS tracking, which I'm going to share in a little bit. So taking that in consideration, what is IoT and logistics, right? So we're catching physical signals from sensors, and we're transforming that into analytics and trends. So then we can have actionable data, so we can work on and improve our process. That is multiple benefits in terms of analytics. So you can do a pre and post processing inside Tago. You can create different entities inside your application. That is, you can have a particular organization, within that organization, different sites, and within the sites, different assets that you're tracking. That is an example when we're talking indoor and outdoor, right? So let's move to the following. So today also in the end, I'm going to show a live demo and presentation on how you can find the Lansitec devices inside TagoIO and the templates that you can use to test those devices, being that indoor or outdoor. I'll also share a little bit about our RTLS application and how you can integrate the Lansitec devices and to build a robust and reliable solution that will get you the insights that you need for the business. So today we already have 50 plus devices from Lansitec up integrated with Tago. So that means Lansitec already did all the work for you to get all the folders out there and prepared this part. So our customers in Tago and Lansitec customers could simply create their accounts, select their devices, and assign that to a dashboard. And that will be a 1, 2, 3 step that can be done very quickly to work on a particular projects, POC, all the way to an event solution. Some technologies that we're going to show on our side, we're going to show a little bit of software technologies, and we're going to show a little bit about the hardware technologies, some applications and use cases. So let's talk a bit about industry growth and key drivers. So looking at the market today, in 2025, based on some analytics from GSMA, the global IoT market should be in between $1.1 trillion, and that is excluding equipment. We're talking about 25.2 billion connections compared to 6.3 billion in 2016. This is talking about all sectors on IoT, but in the industrial sector and the logistics sector account for half of these connections. So then we think, wow, incredible. So we have a lot of demand there. And when we look into this analysis, and I could refer here, for example, Gartner or IoT Analytics, which work very hard in bringing this analysis to us, help us to comprehend what is the current demand out there and what kind of solutions we can bring to the market together as well. So we're talking about multiple benefits here, right? It's about tracking and analyzing stock, optimizing storage, managing a particular truck or vehicle in real time. That is also, if we put in a subcategory, improve driving assignment and process compliance, increase delivery time accuracy, keep drivers and goods safe, and most importantly, enhance the customer experience in between all this, right? So one company that we can bring into this analysis that all of us may know very well is DHL, right? So DHL have an IoT solution today called Smart Trucking that they do this process really well, and bring this part of analytics and back to the company and say, okay, now we look at this data, we can always be improving our processing and our customer experience, right? So we're talking about monitoring shipping and tracking integrity, monitoring the supply chain, that is track travel in real time, see the location of a particular shipment, and keep an eye on the supply from end to end, right? So now let's go to our next topic and see each of some of these benefits in detail. So we're talking about reducing theft and loss, more in the indoor warehouse management, right? That is also open a little point there. Let's think about dwell time, right? So most customers that I talk to today, they're either losing equipment, losing shipment or supplies, or either they're not moving it. So that means that they have that shelf material there for so long, which could be occupied for something else that could be oxygenating the flow of that particular warehouse. So inside Tago, we can apply that logic, combine it with Lansitec, and build a very specific solution to bring this out to the market. By doing that, we will have much more time to work on other things, such as improving delivery accuracy, minimizing downtime, and extending equipment lifespan. Because I'm always going to have, and now talking extending equipment lifespan, we're talking about now in tracking equipment, let's say forklifts or trucks, and predictive maintenance, right? Detect sudden stops, detect the driver behavior towards, like, if it's tired, or if it had a sudden stop, or it's exceeding speed, and take action right away, right? And create a routine so eventually the application can do that for you. So what is the application of actionable data, right? So when we think about that, first of all, what we need is the data, right? We need the devices that can bring us the data and the insights that will help us to understand where are the flaws and where we can automate and streamline the process, reducing potentially the equipment loss or theft, or optimizing the trajectory of a particular vehicle, building a routine calendar in which you can streamline multiple vehicles on a fleet and have an optimized process on it. Having user-friendly interfaces, we're talking here about interfaces that not only your logistics customer will have, but also their employees, right? So something that the truck driver could access, he could receive notifications, or even the company that is receiving this material. Like we can imagine, for example, a box plot case in which we could track a particular truck, just throwing out there an example, right? And then we have some sensors inside that truck that is being that is capturing temperature and humidity variables. So how do you guarantee that you're shipping a good from one place to another, and that particular good have not exceeded or being below the temperature that was recommended? If we're talking about vaccines, if we're talking about food, if we're talking about meat or livestock, all that, when we look at it, we monitor. But it's not just about monitoring; it's about guaranteeing that that shipment is going to be safe from beginning to end, right? And then so guaranteeing the delivery and with an efficient and this company will now be data driven, right? So let's see this little close on cold chain. So what are the focus that we are looking for here? Deviation in compliance. First of all, we capture general truck information. We tie that up with schedules, with routes, and other variables such as temperature and humidity, for example, as I mentioned earlier. Cold system failure and diagnostics, having a backup, a restore, that's something that we all need to think about and be ready and predict that. Arrival and departure times. So if you have this, you can build a calendar like we see on the right side of the screen that will actually show you the busiest days and the days that are a bit more easier, so you can distribute and analyze. Okay, so on this particular day, I can add two more trucks. On this other day, it seems sort of overwhelmed, so I'm gonna move this and manage your fleet, right? Have your application bring you that analysis, so then you can take action on it. On the right side, we can see a graph in 3D, for example, that is specific for logistics. When we look at that graph, I can see the days of the week on the right side, and on the front, I can see the times of the day. So I can see that on the middle of the week, in the morning, my drivers are on the road, so they are excelling there. A high intake of traffic. So when we look at this, we can just flip that custom back and forth, that widget back and forth, and I'll say, okay, I clearly see here that I can distribute better my fleet management intake and equalize that into a streamlined distribution. By doing that and gathering that data, we can then integrate with third-party softwares. For example, if I have an ERP, so I can track my all this info after it's processed, and just getting their fuel consumption and create an estimate for the next time, and other factors that comes into play that can bring value into this operation, right? Help desk. So, for example, you could have integrate with the help desk to open a service order in case there's a failure. So let's say the truck reported a failure and it's in the middle of nowhere. Now you count on your IoT sensor to pinpoint the position, and another one to pinpoint the failure. So when support arrives, it knows exactly what it has to do, and the driver is informed, and the company is informed, and the end customer is informed. So you have a routine that even upon incident can take action for you and the logic that you've built. Now let's move from the outdoor view to the indoor view. So when we look at, for example, tracking of shipments and pallets, talking indoor now, we could use series of devices. So I have one here that Lei sent me. This one is, for example, for pallets. This is a great example, and Lee, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can put a SIM card in here, right? For NB-IoT.
Yes.
You could use it. Yeah, you put that on the pallet, tracks all the way from arrival to destination. And if I'm not mistaken, you can do this overseas as well, right? So arriving at the port, you get a signal, you get that pallet being tracked all the way to the warehouse. But then what happens when you get to the warehouse? And then I'm going to show another one that Lee just sent to me. You got your beacons. So this is it, right? You have your gateway and your beacons right there. So this is a very nice gateway that Lee sent me an example. This is a solar gateway, stays outside of the warehouse. Upon the arrival, I can then track and pinpoint the position with my beacons. And this is extraordinary because when I receive this data on Tago, I can build a very customized logic for this. I can get a geofence that will let me know when that pallet arrives, I can then create a routine to trigger what is going to be my prepare time, so I can have another truck coming to pick it up and then bring it to my final destination, right? Once that arrives, I can trigger a series of actions that will not require most of the time a human behind it to do that logic. I can create that logic in an application that actually works for my customer by itself, right? The customer's job is to put the device in there and the application will do the rest. But then we have KPIs that includes dwell time. It will calculate for how long that pallet stayed there. You can later use this as diagnostics to up your process. That means, like I mentioned before, pallet arrived, I call my delivery driver, say, or send an email or use a call API, say, hey, pallet number X to the destination Y have just arrived, ready for pickup. My driver would come, pick up that pallet. Once that pallet leaves my warehouse, and then I have a leaves part on the geofence on the front door there, then that particular equipment will move to an outdoor. That means it could be 4G, 5G, and then switch to an outdoor view. So then I can now see all the way from my warehouse to the final destination. I could provide also access to my end customer of this operation, right? So now you have your and this is an example that we see a lot nowadays. So I can actually see the driver coming in real time. It's not just a message, oh, your package has left the warehouse. Is your pallet has left the warehouse, but here's the dashboard. You can access with this link. You can actually see it in real time when it's getting to you. So that's very interesting and possible to do and work on it. So I talk a bit about the platform right now, and on the end of the presentation, I'm going to jump to a live demo so we can actually navigate a bit on the RTLS and talk about these critical features, and also display where we can find these Lansitec devices on Tago. So Lei, I ask you to jump in and tell us a little bit more about the solutions that we can build and use cases.
Yep, thank you. Thank you, Tago. Thank you for the introduction. Good morning, good evening, everyone. I'm Lei from Lansitec. At Lansitec, we build basically LP1 including LoRaWAN, MPLT, CAT-M, CAT-1 based tracking devices, including trackers, Bluetooth gateways, all kinds of tags and beacons, and also AOA gateway, which we mentioned earlier. One of the typical solutions that we provide, we call it the B-mobile solution, meaning beacon as mobile, that Bluetooth beacons like these, like the small one, call it the ADI3, the B002, or this small triangle beacon that is attached to my car key. So these beacons are mobile, could be attached on the asset, or attach it to your car key, or wear by a guy. And then the Bluetooth gateways can be deployed at fixed locations, like by the entrance, in the lobby, or in a warehouse. And then when we move the asset or the people walk into the lobby, and the Bluetooth gateway can receive this tag and will report its major and minor, which is considered ID and RSSI, to a LoRaWAN gateway and to a network server, which is shown in the picture, in the slides, and then to TagoIO's platform. Then we know, where this this tag is, or where my car key is, or where this people is. Remember, we also have MPLT and CAT-M Bluetooth gateways that will talk directly to TagoIO's platform, or it could be CAT-1 connection, CAT-1 communication that connects the Bluetooth gateway directly to TagoIO's platform. Some of the typical use cases are like we can track cars and car keys at a dealer's parking lot, so that we can always we can find where exactly each car key is and where the car is, so that when someone take a test drive and they park it somewhere, and then when next customer when they come on site and they want to take a test drive, then we know exactly where the car is and where the car key is. Or we can use this tag and attach them to different kinds of equipment in the hospital to track where they are exactly. Also, we can, like Saigo just introduced, we can attach the beacon to pallets or assets in warehouses, and then we can deploy the Bluetooth gateway at different locations of a warehouse to track the pallets or assets. And for outdoor, we can use the solar Bluetooth gateway. And we just need to face it toward the sun, and that's it. It doesn't need to be maintained, or it doesn't need to be charged. Even if it does not rain, if it rains for continuously 1 month, this gateway will still work. Or in some places where there is no sun or no outlet, we can use a macro Bluetooth gateway, which is powered by a 38,000 mAh battery, which lasts for years, and for tracking. Or we can use this one for tracking for tracking the beehives and the temperature inside the beehive. Or we can use it. We can attach a beacon with an accelerometer to monitor the working status of a motor. Okay, that's B-mobile. Next page. And the next one, we call it the B-fixed solution, meaning beacon is fixed. And in this case, we can deploy the Bluetooth beacon So this little device can work as long as 5 years at 500 millisecond broadcast interval at 0 dBm. And then you can deploy it at the entrance in each room or anywhere, you know, in the warehouse. And then we can could be a guy who wears the badge tracker or a container that is installed on the pallet, or any containers. So when the tracker is moved close to a beacon, then we know where. Then it will report this beacon's major and minor and RSSI, the signal strengths, to a LoRaWAN gateway, to the network server, and then to Tago's platform. Remember, this guy also supports. So it supports LoRaWAN, MBRT, Cat-M, and Cat-1, not at the same time. It's either one of them. So okay, so this is the BFix solution. Yeah, please. So it can be used for tracking C containers. So this one, if it reports every 4 hours, the GPS position every 4 hours, its battery life can be as long as 5 years. So 5 years later, you can just pull out the PCBA and just replace the battery. Or we can use our helmet sensor to track, where exactly the worker is in a construction site, or where he is in the OIO platform, which layer, or somewhere outdoor. Okay, and then we can use this tracker to track the location of the worker in a factory or in a construction site. So there are two different kinds of products. This one supports helmet wearing, indoor and outdoor tracking, as well as barometer, which you can use to measure which floor this worker is on. Okay, that's B-Mobile. Next page. As I introduced earlier, we have the solar Bluetooth gateway, which is powered by solar, but you don't need to maintain it. Just face it toward the sun, and that's it. The micro Bluetooth gateway. So in default, we can install a 38,000 milliamp hour battery, or we can double it to 76,000 milliamp hour battery. And the container tracker, which I mentioned earlier, we have this I3 tag, this triangle tag here, the B004 tag. We also have, other kinds of beacons. Please reach out to, check out Tago's website or our website, to find about more products that we have. And later this year, we are also going to release the LoRaWAN-based UWB solution related products, including the anchors and trackers later this year. Yeah, that's about it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Lee. Thank you for showing us some use cases and solutions with the devices. I actually got some here that you sent to me. I'm very excited to use it. And so we can simulate some scenarios. But I'm actually going to show this right now. Getting the template from Tago, assigning a Lansitec device to that template, and then deploying it on a solution. And additionally, also the RTLS that is available today. Complete solution for tracking indoor and outdoor. And some examples of how we can put that together in a very dynamic way. So I'm going to share my screen. Just a second. All right. Hopefully everyone can see my screen there. So if you go to the TagoIO website right now, resources, and then dashboard templates, when you click on get templates, you'll actually be on this page here. And if you click on transportation, you'll see some dashboards here that have tracking appropriate properties, right? So we have a bus tracker and telemetry. These give us the location outdoor in an outdoor manner. We have refrigerator truck tracker. That is one model that I'm going to show also now. And also refrigerator track monitor hub. So these are the templates that we have that are completely modular. You can add more widgets, change the colors, the themes into your appropriate solution that matches your branding, right? So I did some of this, and now I have my blueprint refrigerator truck right here. So how do I get the devices from Lansitec? So I go here to add devices. You can type here on the search Lansi, and then you'll have the list of devices, and some of the ones that Lee showed is already here, integrated and ready to go. So if you want to talk to Lee about these devices and the options and how to bring this to the market, Lee, feel free to put your LinkedIn on the chat so the customers can contact you. Or if you are already a customer of TagoIO and you want to talk a little bit more deeper, have a demo about it, we can also connect you with Lee, and then we'll go to the next steps and see how we can understand the solution well and help you out on that. So right here, I would select, first of all, my Bluetooth solar gateway. That is the one that I actually have on me right now, as I was showing before. So this one right here, again, very nice gateway. So I will then select the network that I want to assign to it. As this is the LoRaWAN version of it, we already have many LoRaWAN providers already integrated into TagoIO. After selecting a LoRaWAN provider, I set my data retention, and then my device is added to Tago. The next step will be very easy. Will be a matter of coming to one of these widgets or creating new widgets and assigning that particular variable into my device. So my device is going to start streaming the data, and I start plunging that in on my graph. So for example, here I can see the route of a particular truck that's going all the way from Detroit to Wyoming. And this is a regular route that it does. I can see the fluctuations in temperature and humidity on all three sides of the truck, and also have a visual perspective on how that's looking like right now and the positions. On the bottom, through an automated process, you can see where the trip begins, where it ends, when it's delivered, or if any of the zones are out of the temperature range that we have set. So this is an example with the dashboard template, but now I'm going to show you something much more powerful than that. For you to get there, you'll go to the TagoIO page, Resources, Kickstarter. When you hit Download Kickstarter, you'll be redirected to our GitHub. If you scroll a little bit down, you'll see this option right here, Access the Imports tool. Once you click on this, you'll then be redirected to this dashboard, which you can import all the entities of this RTLS application. And what you're getting with that? Well, if I go back here to my admin, so let me go back here, and I'm going to switch to my RTLS Kickstarter. And now we're going to dive a bit. And just by the way, everyone, we've already done a webinar specifically on this Kickstarter. So if you want to know about it in detail, feel free to search on our webinar lists and videos that you'll find a detailed explanation about how this Kickstarter works, what you need to customize it, and all the possibilities from this point forward to adding your logic to what makes sense to your customers and users to apply. So let's open here distribution center. This will be one of my customers inside my application. Inside this customer, now I have 3 locations here. So if I go to Bridgeport Warehouse, for example, I can then see all my pallet names right here. So all the pallets inside this warehouse, in which floor it is. So inside the Bridgeport site, I can still have Bridgeport East warehouse and Bridgeport South warehouse. That means that I can switch between floor plans here. And the 3 pallets that I have on this part assigned to this region, they are here. So I have pallets 248, I have pallets 241, and I have pallets 242. So when we look at the outside view, I can see that this particular pallet that is on Hoboken right now has a temperature of 31.8 degrees, luminosity 90%. That means it is on an external area. It's already external of the truck. He might be downloading this truck. So if I switch then to my floor and beacon setup, I see my indoor plant and how I have positions the beacons behind. So that is where we get these bad boys here to work. So in each one of these blue points, we have a beacon like this that will help us to pinpoint the position and see our shipments going back all the way to entering the warehouse and leaving the warehouse once has been prepped and processed, right? So let me just go back here. So how do I create alerts now, right? So on the Kickstarter, we offer 2 models that you can use as a beginning, but you can add other logic to it. So right now I have an alert that will let me know when my equipment enters the warehouse and when my equipment leaves the warehouse. But I can add stuff in between there. So once my equipment enters the warehouse, it will let me know, okay, equipment entered the warehouse, prepare the driver to pick up this equipment. So the driver will receive the notification while he is running over to, relocating to pick up this shipment. Then I would prep this shipment and will move all the way to the other side of the warehouse where it's going to leave the warehouse. So it's going to go through my threads, and when it's all on the other side of the thread, going out of the warehouse, it will let me know this equipment is ready for pickup, is right at the door. But what is in between there that we could think about that could optimize my process? First of all, it's dwell time. If I receive an equipment and that equipment have been sitting on the warehouse for X amount of time, then that might be a problem, because either that equipment is never going to be picked up, or it's going to be delivered late. And so that's just some of the possibilities, right? Another thing in between is who was working on that equipment. So I have the sensor on my actual pallet or container, right? So I have this sensor there. But who is working on tracking that equipment and responsible for that equipment? So then, like Lee showed, I would have my tags here. So A, I'm tracking my equipment and my shipments, and B, I'm actually tracking my workers. So I'm using 2 use cases here in one. So that is an example that we can think about safety, we can think about optimization, right? So that is dwell time, checking if the equipment has been prepped and sent out in a decent amount of time. And on the other side is tracking my workers inside the warehouse. Which worker was assigned to work on that equipment, and how long was this transition? So now if I look at how long and who did it and how they did it, I can be in a constant involvement inside that company inside and working on that process, because then I would have an application that would work on get this data for me, and eventually I can automate to have always the best practice possible inside that particular environment, right? And you could, it's not limited to tracking other things inside the solution. This is all things that we can incorporate it. We could track the actual forklifts, other than the personnel, and also the shipment that is arriving. But we also can generate PDF reports of all this, and provide access to the end user of each step of the process, so that the end user can be tuned about it and be confident that his equipment is moving as fastly as possible in the most safely environment that it can. He knows that his equipment did not had any sudden stops. It didn't move inside the truck. It was within the temperature, and whoever was working on it did a great job packaging and prepping it. So then I can build a nice report to go with this shipment and say, hey, here's your report. Here's how we guarantee that your shipment was within all the conditions that we promised, right? To set then these geofences, you can navigate a little bit more on the Kickstarter and implement these changes to apply the logics that your customer is looking for, and then tie that to your application, using these devices as a manner. So I'm gonna open the floor now for Q&A. Please, if anyone have any questions for me in regards to the to TagoIO and the platform and the tools that we provide to get this accomplished, or for Lee for the hardware, and any question specific about the hardware, please feel free to post it on the chat. Awesome. I see that Rodrigo already engaged there with Lee. Nice to see you there, Rodrigo. Actually, good customer of mine from Brazil. Thank you for joining the webinar with us. Awesome. Lee, I don't think we have any questions for now. We have the viewers, the attendees have your contact there. I hope we get some fruitful connections so we can work together on the next solutions coming up. Anything else that you want to bring before we finalize? All right. Sounds good.
Okay, good.
Well, thank you everyone for your time. Appreciate it. We hope this was helpful for you, that we provide the tools and resources you need to kick off your logistics and asset management application. Thank you, Lee, for your availability. We know it there is very late there for you. It's very nice of you to joining us here and bringing us some insights on the technologies and the devices.
It's okay. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for attending, and have a great rest of the week.